הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Please join us as we begin today on the top of page 62. Today is a beginning, the beginning of a new Jewish year. Like many beginnings, a new year brings hope and excitement. Today is also a holy day, a day to celebrate God's creation of the world, a day to say thank you to God for the world God has created for us. Like many beginnings, we enter the year with new hopes and new emotions, with hopes that we will do our best to make this year a good one, with hopes that this year will bring us more love, more health, and more peace.
We're building a better world. We're building a better world. We're building a better world, 1% at a time. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. We're building a world with peace. We're building a world with peace. We're building a world with peace, 1% at a time. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. And one of the most important ingredients as we build this world together is love. Michelle, can you show us the different ways they can show love? You can have a heart, you can hug, and if you're home with your family, your brothers and sisters, you can hug them as well. We're building a world with love. We're building a world with love. We're building a world with love, 1% at a time. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. And the world goes round and round. The world goes round and round and round. So we've set our focus for today, for Rosh Hashanah. We are God's partners in this world. We have been given a big job to always help to make it better. So I think we're ready now to move forward in our prayer book and say all of our special prayers for Rosh Hashanah. And we begin by turning to page 76 and rising as we say the call to prayer, the Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla la la la, 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 yalla la la la. Barechu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. La 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 la, 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 la 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 la.
We continue together on the top of page 79. As the night gives way to day, a morning picture is painted across our sky. The sun comes up as the morning uncurls, a wonder we can see and still wonder why. God, who makes the sun shine and stars glow, you renew the cycle of creation day by day, giving light to our minds and our eyes, time after time with the dawn of each new day. Each thing that God creates, God renews each day with love and care. Through God's light, we understand the plan and wonder of this world, which we all share. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer hamarot. Blessed are you, Adonai, who creates lights.
We turn now to page 81. God's love stretches. From top to bottom, it stretches and grows and melds the beginning and end.
God's love reaches from start to finish. It reaches and spreads, forgetting just where it began.
God's love teaches with stories and laws and rules and prayers. It teaches us best how to live.
In love, we listen. We too can stretch. We too can reach. And we too can teach as we seek the new year ahead.
Wrap us up in your peace like a great big talit. Hold us close with this prayer in your love.
Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Blessed are you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel with love.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And we can be seated once again as we turn to page 84 and join together in the words of the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We turn now to the top of page 87. During the holiest days of our year, we renew our promise to stand up for what is right. We will not stand with our feet frozen to the ground and our arms limp by our sides. We will not stay silent when our voice is needed. We will not hide. We will not walk away. When people are sad, we will comfort them. When people are mean, we will stop them. When someone is hungry, we will feed them. When someone is cold, we will find them shelter. When there are tears, we will dry them. When there are hopes, we will support them. We know how slavery and sadness feels. We renew our promise this day to not stand idly by when others are suffering. We renew our promise this day to bring all people into our song of freedom.
And we look over to the page on the right, page 86, and we find our song of freedom, the words of Mi Chamocha. But today on Rosh Hashanah, we use a special melody just for our high holy days, our days of awe. Mi Chamocha b'Elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nor adilot osei feller. We're going to sing that one more time. Mi chamocha b'Elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nor adilot or say fella. And now we're going to turn together to page 91. Why are the high holy days all about standing and sitting? When I was a child, it didn't make much sense to me. My teachers taught me that God was everywhere. So wouldn't God see me if I were sitting down too? Surely God, the one who knew I was there to watch over me, wouldn't want my legs to hurt me, would God? But as I grew older and life began to present more challenges to me, I came to depend on God more. As tough situations came into my life as a teenager, I was often seeking answers to questions that it seemed no one else could answer for me. And soon, I realized that when I wanted those answers, I had to reach out and find hints from God in my life. I came to realize that perhaps God doesn't need us to stand up to pray, but perhaps we need to stand up to reach out and find God's presence in our lives. As we continue with tefillah, or the section known as the ha-midrash, or standing section of our prayer service, let us take a moment to think of times when we feel a need to stand taller, to find that connection with God. And our tefillah prayer begins on page 90. Adonai Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chastei Havot ve'imahot U'mevi Geula livnei v'neihem Lema'an Shemo b'Yahava. On page 94 you'll find the words for his prayer just for our high holy days. Zochreinu, Zochreinu l'chaim, where we ask God to remember us for life. Zochreinu, Zochreinu, Zochreinu l'chaim. Melech, Melech, chafetz b'chaim. וחוטבינו בספר החיים למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים. זוכרנו, זוכרנו, זוכרנו לחיים. מלך, מלך, חפץ בחיים. Now everyone can be seated once again, and we turn to page 101.
God is like a parent watching over us. The Unatena Tokef prayer says that our deeds are written down and that God reads them. God cares about what we do and the people we are trying to become. God sees us when we do our best and when we fall short.
When we try hard to be our best, God is proud of us, cheering us on.
Sometimes scary things happen in the world, things that we cannot control, things that we do not understand. But there is a lot we can do to help others and start to heal the world. You have taught us that there are 3 important ways that we can get through the difficult times and make things better.
The first one is teshuvah. Teshuvah is turning back to God, turning back to doing what is right. We are not perfect. When we're not our best, God wants us to apologize to those we have hurt and try harder.
The second is tefillah. Tefillah is prayer. When we feel sad or scared, we can talk to God. We can ask for wisdom, and we may feel stronger.
And the third is tzedakah. Tzedakah is doing what is fair, what is just. Sometimes we feel like the world is out of control, that the problems are very big. But we can do our part to help, to be partners with God, to make the world a better place.
Teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah are what we need to do to write a new page in God's book.
And over on the right-hand side, on page 100, the second little paragraph of Hebrew, lines 3 and 4, it says, B'rosh Hashanah yikatevun uvyom Som Kippur yechatevun. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. B'rosh Hashanah yikatevun uvyom Som Kippur yechatevun. ייחתמו בראש השנה, ייכתבו וביום צום כיפור, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמו.
Today you open the book of life so that we can read is written on its pages. Today you ask us to open our hearts and reflect on what we have said and done this past year. On Rosh Hashanah, it is written, and on Yom Kippur, it is sealed. But throughout the year, the book of life is open, and the choices we make leave a mark on our world. And so we ask ourselves and each other, who will choose to live a good life? Whose hands will cause hurt, and whose hands will help heal? Who will speak up, and who will be silent? Who will be wise enough to learn from others? Who will be strong enough to make good choices? Who will be greedy, and who will be grateful? Who will break people down, and who will build people up? Who will choose to be a blessing?
ותשובה, ותפילה, וצדקה, מעבירין את רוע הגזרה. Through return to the right path, through prayer, and through righteous giving, we can earn a new page in the book of life and write a better story in the new year.
L'dor v'dor. It means passing our traditions and love for Judaism from generation to generation. Much of Judaism is our time spent with family and loved ones, taking care of one another, taking care of our world, celebrating the best of what we accomplished together. What stories have your grandparents and parents shared with you? Ask them, where were they when Neil Armstrong and his Apollo 11 team first walked on the moon? Ask them if they remember how our country celebrated as a team when amateur hockey players won gold in the 1980 Olympics. What stories will you pass down to your children and your grandchildren one day about how you made a difference during a world pandemic? Please turn to page 105.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. L'dor v'dor nagi godlecha. L'dor v'dor we protect this chain. From generation to generation, l'dor v'dor, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to save. Dor vador nagi God lecha. Dor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
So now we ask you to turn to page 107. Sometimes there is a role that a parent will take, and sometimes there's a role for the children. I ask all the parents to read along at the top with me. To the children I care for, may you be like Abraham and Sarah, who had the courage to believe in a God they could not see. May you be like Rebecca, who was kind to all, people and animals. May you be like Jacob, who understood that God could be found everywhere. May you be like Miriam, whose love made her a protector. May you be like Moses, who wasn't afraid to ask for help. May all of our prayers be sweet to you, God, and may this new year be a good one. Amen.
And to all of those children out there who are watching, your parents need blessings too. So at the bottom of page 107, please read with me as we bless our parents. To the adults who care for me, just as you bless and keep me, I want you to know my blessing for you. May you always have patience for my silliness and teasing. May you always have hugs, both for giving and receiving. May you always feel pride when you see how I've grown. I am lucky to love you. Be blessed with shalom.
We turn now to 114 at the top. God is like a king. God is like a queen. Avinu Malkeinu helps us compare God to things we understand. God is like all of these things, and God is more than all of these things.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have missed the mark before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, help us bring an end to sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings.
Avinu Malkeinu, help us write our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Lanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Lanenu, Ki ein banu masim, Hasei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, Hasei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Hasei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, Hasei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Lanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Lanenu, Ki ein banu continue now with on page 116. Ezrat nafshenu, Mekor chayenu, our soul sustainer, source of our life. We ask that you hear our prayers. Fill us with inspiration to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with you, our God.
May we be like Shifra and Puah, who refused to be bullied and acted justly in an unjust and dangerous world.
May we be like Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh, who acted compassionately toward a helpless child, using her privilege to protect the most vulnerable.
May we be like Moses, who admitted his weaknesses and asked for help so that he could be a leader.
May we be like Jethro, who was able to see righteousness in another and provided wise and generous counsel.
May we be like Zipporah, who acted quickly when faced with danger to protect those whom she loved.
May we be like Yocheved, the first of Moses' mothers, who acted to save what she valued most.
May we be like Miriam, who was brave and intelligent and whose love made her a protector.
May we find within ourselves the strength of our ancestors. May we use that strength to help create a just future. Let us turn to page 118 for our Torah service. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael bikdushato. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Noseh Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, Uneromem Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagidula, v'hagivura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, Ve'amit nahaseh lechol lerosh. Our blessings for Torah are found on page 121. And I'm going to be reading for you today from the story of creation. As we said throughout the service, we are partners in helping God's world and to make it better. So this morning, we read the very beginning of the Torah and how the world began.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu ve'choshech al pnei tehom ve'ruach Elohim mirachefet al pnei hamayim vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov Vayavdel Elohim bein haor uvein hachoshech Vayikra Elohim laor yom v'lachoshech kara laila Vayehi erev vayehi voker yom echad. When God began to create heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep and a wind from God sweeping over the water, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. The darkness, God called the light day, and the darkness God called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, a first day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So now we place a cover over the ark, and while we're still in the presence of the Torah, we say a special prayer for those who are in need of healing. And it can be all kinds of healing. Some people need healing from a cut, or they had surgery, and we wish them a quick and speedy healing. And some people need healing because they're sad, or they're just not quite sure how to feel, especially in these days. So I want you to think about the people in your life, maybe their family, and maybe their friends, but people in your life who you think might need an extra hug. And this special Misha Berach prayer on page 123 is that special hug for our loved ones who need healing. Dear God, we are thinking about who is in need of healing. Just as you helped our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and Jacob and Rachel and Leah, please help all of those people that we are thinking about. Surround our loved ones with care like a warm blanket, and be like a soft pillow under their head. Share your strength and love with them so that they do not feel alone and scared. And we're going to join now together in the song in the middle of page 123.
Misha berach avoteinu mikor habracha limorteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha berach imotenu mikol habracha Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
On page 124 at the top, you'll see the special prayer that we say when we lift and trust the Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ויד משה. Lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 lai.
And now it's that part in the service on Rosh Hashanah that everybody is always waiting for, the shofar service. And we're going to start first with a song about the shofar where we practice the different sounds that the shofar makes. And our chorus is, I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Here we go.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year again. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
All right. So our first blast is the tikiyah. It goes like this. Tikiyah. And you do it.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
All right. Our next one is shavarim. And it does a 3 blast thing. So we're going to go like this. Shavarim.
Shavarim.
And then we need a tikiyah.
Tikiyah.
Okay, I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
Okay. This next one's my favorite, Michelle, because the teruah makes 9 sounds. And I like to do it like this. Teruah.
Teruah.
Let's see. Let's make sure. Teruah. Yes. Okay. And then it was shivarim. Tikiyah.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
Okay. So there's another very, very special blast. And this one's called the tikiyah gidolah. A tikiyah is a sound. It's a blast. Gidolah or gadol means big. So this one is the big tikiyah gidolah that we have at the end of our shofar blast. So, right, everyone's going to take a really, 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 really big breath. And we're going to go tikiyah gidolah, and we're going to hold it for as long as you possibly can.
Here we go. Tekiya Gedola. Teruah Shivarim Tekiya. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. One more time. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year. A little story. Many, many years ago, before there were any fire engines and fire brigades and electric fire alarms, most houses were built of wood. A fire was a terrible thing. A whole town, or a good part of it, could go up in flames and smoke. And so when a fire broke out, everyone left his business or work and rushed to help put out the fire. And there used to be, in each town, a watchtower that was taller than all the other buildings, where a watchman kept a lookout all the time. As soon as the watchman would see smoke or fire, he would sound the alarm. The townspeople would then form a human chain between the fire and the nearest well, and pass on to each other pails of water with which to put out the fire. Once it happened that there was a young man from a small village who came to town for the very first time. He stopped at an inn on the outskirts of the town. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a bugle. He asked the innkeeper, what was that about? The innkeeper explained that whenever we have a fire, we sound the bugle, and the fire is quickly put out. How wonderful, thought the village lad. What a surprise and sensation I will bring to my village. Thereupon, the young man went and bought himself a bugle. When he returned to his village, he was full of excitement. He called all the villagers together. Listen, good people, he exclaimed. No need to be afraid of fire anymore. Just watch me and see how quickly I will put out a fire. Saying this, he ran to the nearest hut and set fire to its straw roof. The fire began to spread very quickly. Don't be alarmed, cried the lad. Now watch me. The lad began to blow the bugle with all his might, interrupting it only to catch a breath and to say, wait, this will put out the fire in no time. But the fire did not seem to care much for the music and merely hopped from one roof to another until the entire village was in flames. The villagers now began to scold and curse him. You fool, they cried. Did you think that the mere blowing of the trumpet will put out the fire? It's only the call of an alarm to wake up the people if they're asleep, or to break them away from their work and send them to the well to draw water and put out the fire. We're reminded of this story when we think of the shofar. While sounding the shofar has special value as one of God's commandments, we are commanded to hear the sound of the shofar. But there's another very important element to that mitzvah. Some people think, just like the village boy, that the sound of the shofar will do everything for them. They think that they can continue to sleep or go about their business. No need to change their way of life. No need to change their habits or their daily conduct. And the shofar sounded in the synagogue will surely bring them a happy new year. But, like the bugle in the story, the shofar is the sound of an alarm. The shofar has a message. It says, wake up, everybody, and think about how you acted this past year, how you felt this past year, how you treated people, how you responded to others, and to really think about what changes you want to make in the coming year in order to help God make this a better world. So we go to the well of living waters. That well is our Torah. It's all of the lessons that we have, lessons from our history, lessons, as Michelle was talking about, lessons from our parents and our grandparents. That well is how we're able to go and make all of those changes. So when you hear the sound of the shofar, let it be your special wake-up call so that you're ready for the year 5781. Turn with me now to page 134. In a still, small silence, you hear a voice. In a loud, confusing crowd, your name rings out. Looking over your shoulder, do you mean me? Yes, you. Yes, me. These blasts of the shofar are the call meant for each of us. And the long tikiyah at the end reminds us that we all have work to do. The new year is here. Let's begin. So everybody's going to stand up at home for the special mitzvah of hearing the shofar. And our prayer, Baruch Ata Adonai, Shomea Kol Truat Amo Yisrael Barachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people, Israel. Tikiyah. Shvarim Trua. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Shvarim. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Teruah. Tikiyah Gedolah. We turn now to page 142 for Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Page 145.
I miss you today. Today, families come together to celebrate, and so today, I miss you more than I normally do. I thought about you when we sang the prayer you loved, and I remembered how you used to share your talis with me when I got cold. I thought about the way you always whispered something funny and made me laugh when I was supposed to be quiet. I felt nervous as the service ended because I knew that I would need to stand up for this prayer, and I didn't know if I could do it without crying. I hope you know that even as I try to say the words of the Kaddish, what I'm really saying is that I miss you today and that I love you always.
Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a blessing in this new year and always. And as we turn to page 146, and we stand and say this special prayer, as we think about any one of our loved ones who are no longer with us today. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'rizman kariv, v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam ul'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu, le'ela u'le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen.
We turn now to page 153. As we leave this holy space, we say thank you to God for this new year. Even though we have shared our prayers and thanks as a community, we know that our work on this new year is just beginning. The next 10 days are about looking inside ourselves and examining our actions. As we start this new year, we promise to be the best we can be, remembering that through our acts of loving kindness and tzedakah, we bring our world closer to shalom, peace. May these next 10 days be filled with happiness, family, and friends, and may this new year be one of health and peace. May we be written in the book of life.
And if you can see below that big orangish yellow square, you'll see the words Tekiah Gedolah. So we're going to send it over to our shofar blowers right now. Tekiah Gedolah. L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova v'techatemu. Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova v'techatemu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. L'shana tova.